2014. My name is Wesley from Universal Audio. I also want to present to you a little bit of the history of UA, which is pretty important in the music industry today. Basically, it was founded in 1958 by this guy called Bill Putnam. Fantastic pioneer. He basically, thanks to him, we're using Q-sends, we're using sends and returns, we're using artificial reverb. You know, the first multi-band EQ in the US, he designed that. So there's a lot of designs and technology we're using today, which is thanks to this guy. UA, we're based in California, okay, Scotts Valley. This is us today. We're a bit more than 90 employees. The good thing about it is that we're all into music, we're all musicians or producers or engineers or whatever. So we really get our hands on the gear, we really use the gear personally. So it allows us to speak the same language as musicians and engineers and all that. So this is UA today. We still carry on developing high-end analog hardware, which we have here. You've all seen the LA2As, the 1176s, 6176s, LA610s. We carry on designing that in California. Every single thing is handmade, okay, hand-wired. Just to give you an example, for an LA2A, big guy which is over there, it takes 13 hours to design one of those, to make one of those. So we take it very seriously, and they do sound exactly like the originals. We have the UAD and Apollo platform, which is the digital side of Universal Audio. So I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But basically they're high-end interfaces, high-end DSPs, which allow you to use your plugins in mixes and all that kind of thing. But I'll talk about that in a minute. We have more than 90 plugins on our platform, classic emulations of analog gear. So we have Manley, Portec, Fairchild, ENT reverbs, tape echoes, tape machines, studio tape machines. So we have a lot of those things, and they are exactly a fantastic reproduction of the originals. If you've used the originals and you use the UADs, you'll see how close they are, and it's pretty fantastic. But you'll get to hear some of them in a minute, because there's going to be Will Knox, fantastic artist, who's going to be recorded by Fab Ducal, real-time live recording through UADs with this little box. He's going to be here in like 20 minutes, so you should hang around for that. It's very cool to see. So the interfaces, the Apollo interfaces, the higher-end interfaces, there's two of them there in the glass box. High-end converters, high-end interfaces, there's 9 interfaces. We have the Apollo 8, which is basically 18 inputs, 24 outputs with preamps. So we designed those around 2 years ago. And a lot of people are using them, so we've got all these cool producers which are using them. And these producers, which is quite interesting, these were originally pro-analog people and now using UADs and Apollos, so it's quite nice to hear from them. We have these albums here, which were presented at the Grammy Awards, okay? These were entirely mixed with UADs, so this is just an example of 4 of them. So we have Tyler Swift, Daft Punk, you all know, you've been listening to Daft Punk all day long with the Atom speakers behind. That was mixed with UADs. We have Lana Del Rey, Bruno Mars, there's many, many, many others who actually use and mix with UADs. So what's new for 2014? Well, very, very, very proud to announce the Apollo Twin. Fantastic little guy. I'm going to go through that in a minute. It's basically what we call legendary sound on your desktop, because you have access to all the UAD platform, all the plugins now, just with this little box, which is fantastically built. And you can actually come here afterwards and feed it. It weighs a bit less than £2. It's solid. It's a beautiful little box. It's a beautiful sounding little box. And talking about the sound, so it's class-leading sound quality. We're using the exact same converters and preamps as we do on the Apollo and the big sisters. It's exactly the same thing. So we did not compromise on sound quality. We just brought it down to a little box, less inputs, less outputs, but the same sound quality. same thing. I'll go through the inputs and outputs in a minute. I'll just tell you a little bit about the functionality of the box. So we have the level knob, okay, this basically controls your monitor outputs or your headphone output or your input gain, okay, so depending on which mode you're on. Monitor headphone metering, which is on the right hand side here, monitor focus, which is here. Basically the monitor focus switches between your headphone output and your monitor output, okay. Preamp control, so you have all the 4J ports, power, you have all the low pass filters, the pads, -20 dB pads, you have everything which controls basically your preamp. Preamp focus, this is going to change your status between input and line input and mic input. Just a little button here, so extremely easy to use. Preamp metering, so that's on the front panel. On the back panel, pretty easy. 2 mic line inputs, okay, very simple. 2 monitor outputs, left and right. 2 line outputs, 3 and 4. Thunderbolt connectivity, okay. Optical wind. The optical wind is pretty cool because you can actually choose it to be either SPDIF 2-channel in, or you can select 8 channels of ADAT in. So you can basically record 10 channels at the same time with this little box, digital and analog simultaneously. So that's pretty cool. And on the front panel, just here, you have your headphone output, which is here, controllable once again by the dial, and you have your high impedance input. So you just plug your guitar in and you hear your sound straight away. You don't have to select anything. You just plug it in, it automatically detects that it's high impedance and you hear your guitar with bass. We have something very new called unison mic preamp technology. That's very cool. This allows us to recreate the exact behavior and the exact sound of analog preamps, classic analog preamps. So it's a communication between the analog side of the preamp and the DSP, which recreates the tube sounds, the transistors, the transformers, and it recreates the exact harmonics, noise, every single thing, including impedance, selecting, and gain stage. So that's pretty new, and that's something we're going to develop more and more. We're the only ones who actually do that. So the Twin is when you buy a Twin, it has 14 plugins with it. We call it the real-time analog classic bundle. So basically you can have 1176s, you can have the Legacy, you can have the LA2A Legacy, Reverb Pro, CS1. You're also going to have the 610B preamp, which I was talking about in this new preamp section. So you're going to have a Unison plugin. So basically you have every single thing you need to record and to mix as soon as you buy this. You also have all the 90 plugins on demo mode for 14 days, which you activate one by one. So it really leaves you time to test those plugins on your mixes, on different sources, so which is pretty cool. New Thunderbolt drivers, so they're very, very fast. They're basically fast PCIe and audio UAD drivers. So that's very new. Higher performance, lower latency. All this is new for the upcoming of the Pro Twin. Compatibility is going to be Mavericks 10.9.2, Mountain Lion. Every single audio format is going to be done. Okay, so we're talking about AAX64, we're talking about audio units, we're talking about VST, we're talking about RTAS. Everything can be used, so basically on any DAW, your favorite DAW you're using. So Cubase, Live, Logic, Pro Tools, Reaper, etc. It works on every single platform. It exists in 2 versions, there's the solo version and the duo version. It's exactly the same connectivity, inputs and outputs are exactly the same thing. It's just a matter of DSP which is used. So on the solo version, 1 chip of DSP, on the duo version, 2 chips of DSP. It's just a matter of power, okay? But same input and output, same sound quality, same thing.